On Christmas morning, I asked a simple question: "Where's my present?" My mother just laughed. "Santa doesn't bring presents to ungrateful children," she said with a cruel smirk. I simply nodded and left without another word. 3 months later, she called in a panic. They needed $50, 000, to save their house from collapse. My response: ask Santa for help. Let me back up and explain how we got here. My name is Alexandra, but everyone calls me Alex. I'm 32 years old and work as a back-end software developer at a major tech company in Austin, Texas. My salary is excellent, $130, 000 a year. Well above average. For my experience level, I should be grateful for my financial success. But lately, I've wondered if having money just makes me a target for everyone else's problems. Here's my family situation. My parents, Angela and Victor, are both in their early 60s and recently retired. Dad spent his career in construction management, working his way up from crew leader to project supervisor. Mom worked as a legal secretary downtown for over 20 years. They live in a modest suburban home in Dallas that they've owned for 30 years, surviving on their retirement savings and Social Security. But inflation keeps eating away at their fixed income. Then there's my older sister, Lisa. She's 36, married to Max, and they have two teenagers, my nephew Ethan, 15, and my niece Maya, 13. Lisa works part-time as a dental hygienist while Max owns a small auto repair shop. They're always struggling financially, living paycheck to paycheck in their 3-bedroom house, about 20 minutes from our parents. Guess who they all turn to when the bills pile up? You got it, me. It began innocently enough 6 years ago when I landed my first real developer job at $85, 000 a year. Mom called one evening, her voice slightly embarrassed. "Alex, honey, we're running a little short this month. Could you help us with the electric bill? It's $340. And with Dad's new heart medication costing so much, we just can't swing it." "Of course, Mom," I said without hesitation. They were my parents. After all, they'd raised me, fed me, housed me, and supported my education. Helping them seemed like the right thing to do. But it didn't stop there. Within a month, Mom called again. They needed $200 for groceries because Dad's prescription costs had doubled. Then it was $800 for car repairs on their aging Honda Accord when the transmission started slipping. Soon, Lisa got involved. First, Max needed new tires for his pickup truck. We just can't afford $600 right now, and Max needs his truck for work. Then Ethan wanted to join a competitive coding boot camp that cost $8, 000 for the year. He's so passionate about programming, just like you were, Alex. This could be his future. There was always something, always urgent, always essential, always my responsibility. The worst part, the help only flowed one way. I learned this harsh lesson 8 months ago when I was buying my first house. After years of saving and living in a cramped $1,200 a month studio apartment in South Austin, I was finally ready to buy a real home, a beautiful 2-bedroom townhouse with a small yard for $285. Ling ling ling. Moving day was approaching, and I'd accumulated way more belongings than I could handle alone. I called Lisa and asked if Max could help for just a couple of hours, load the U-Haul at my old place, and unload at the new house. Of course, Lisa said immediately. Max would be happy to help. What time do you need him? When I talked to Max directly later that week, he seemed genuinely excited to see my new place and help me move. But 2 days before the move, Lisa called back. "Alex, about Saturday, Max won't be able to help you move." My heart sank. "What happened? Is he sick?" "No, he's fine. But we talked it over and decided you need to handle your own problems. Hire professional movers or figure something else out. Max and I have our own family to think about, and we can't always be solving your issues." I was stunned. "My issues, Lisa? I just asked for 2 hours of help moving boxes." "Look, You make good money. You can afford to hire people. We're not your personal moving service. Just like that. No apology. No real explanation beyond handle your own problems. The same sister who'd asked me for $3,000 just 2 months earlier when their air conditioning died. I ended up paying $3,500 for professional movers. Money I hadn't budgeted for. But here's the thing, I didn't complain. I didn't call back to argue or throw a tantrum. I just handled it and remembered that conversation. Yet I kept helping them financially. Every single month. Mom needed groceries when their budget ran short, usually $300 monthly. Dad's heart medication kept getting more expensive, another $250 monthly that insurance didn't cover. Lisa's minivan broke down constantly, $800 for a transmission repair, $600 for new brakes. $200 when the engine overheated. Ethan needed soccer cleats, $120. Then a new laptop for school, $1. Babe. Then money for a school trip to Washington, D.C. $900. Maya needed dance shoes, $800. A costume for recital, $200. And private violin lessons, $160 monthly because she was so talented. Always something. Always urgent. Always my responsibility. I kept detailed records in a spreadsheet. By that October, I was sending out about $3,000 monthly to various family members. That's $36 a year, nearly a third of my take-home pay after taxes and my mortgage. I kept giving because it seemed easier than dealing with the guilt trips and family drama. Easier to send a Venmo payment than listen to lectures about family loyalty. And deep down, I hoped that if I kept helping, they'd eventually see me as more than just a walking wallet. I was wrong. In late October, I decided to visit my parents for Sunday dinner. We hadn't gotten together in several weeks, and I thought it would be nice to reconnect. When I arrived at their modest ranch-style house, the whole crew was already there. Lisa, Max, Ethan, and Maya. A real family gathering. Mom had made her famous pot roast with roasted vegetables, and we all sat around the dining room table. Everything seemed normal at first. For the first half of dinner, Mom and Lisa chatted about Maya's upcoming school play and Ethan's soccer tournament. Mom asked Lisa detailed questions about her work schedule and their holiday plans. But I noticed something strange. While Mom peppered Lisa with questions about her life, she didn't ask me a single thing about my recent promotion at work, my new house, or my plans. I sat there eating and waiting for even basic interest in my life. Then Dad cleared his throat pointedly. Mom looked at him. He looked back at her. And I knew they were about to spring something on me. Mom put down her fork and turned to me with an artificially bright smile. Alex, sweetheart, we've all been talking, and we've decided we really need a family vacation house. Somewhere like Lake Travis, or maybe up in the hill country. Dad and I would spend summers there, and the grandkids could come visit and have space to run around. He blinked. A vacation house, yes. Somewhere with a big yard and maybe a dock. Your father and I are getting older, and we want to make memories with the whole family while we still can. I looked around the table. Lisa was nodding enthusiastically. Max was nodding. Even Ethan and Maya were grinning like this was the greatest idea ever. Mom, now isn't the time to buy a vacation house. Have you forgotten about your foundation problems? Mom's smile tightened slightly. What problems? The crack in your foundation. Mom, the big one by the garage that you showed me 6 months ago. Remember, you had a contractor look at it, and he said it needed immediate attention before it got worse. Mom waved her hand dismissively. Oh, that's nothing serious. The house is still standing, isn't it? Your father and I need to think about our quality of life while we're healthy enough to enjoy it. That's why we need you to buy this house for us. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Buy it for you, well? You're the only one in the family who can afford it. Alex, we've already found the perfect place, a beautiful 3-bedroom cabin on Lake Travis. Only $1. 8 million. And with your credit, you could get a great rate. Only $1. 8 million. Like that was pocket change. Mom, I just bought my own house. I'm already paying $2. 400 a month on my mortgage. I don't have money for a down payment on another property. Mom's eyes lit up. She'd clearly anticipated this objection. But I've already talked to a mortgage broker. With your credit, score, and income, you'd qualify easily. The down payment would be 20%. So only $360. Ling ling ling. And the monthly payments would be just $9. Wu bai. Just $9. Wu bai. On top of my existing $2. 400 mortgage and the $3. 000 I was already sending them monthly. That's nearly $15. 000 a month. Mom, that's more than I take home after taxes. You could get a second job. Dad suggested seriously. Or ask for a raise. I looked around the table again. Dad looked expectant. Lisa had crossed her arms and was staring at me like I was being difficult. Max was nodding along. Even my teenage niece and nephew sat waiting for my answer like this was a done deal. Mom, I can't buy you a house. I won't take on another $9. 500 monthly payment for a house I'll never live in. The temperature in the room plummeted. Mom's face went cold. Well then, now we know how you really feel about family. I thought we could count on our daughter. Dad added, his voice dripping with disappointment. This is very disappointing. Alexandra, we raised you. Mon continued. We sacrificed for you. Sent you to college. And this is how you repay us. I looked around the table one final time. Everyone was staring at me like I was the villain in this story. Like I was being unreasonable for not wanting to take on a $1, 8 million mortgage for their vacation home. I think it's time for me to leave. I said quietly. I think it really is time for you to leave. Mom replied icily. Nobody walked me to the door. Nobody said goodbye. As I drove home along the highway, I felt like I'd lost my family over something they had no right to ask me to do. That dinner was in late October. For the next 2 months, my phone was eerily quiet. No calls from Mom asking for grocery money. No texts from Dad about his medication costs. No panicked messages from Lisa about Ethan needing a new laptop or Maya's dance expenses. The strangest part was Lisa not asking for money. For her, that was practically unheard of. Usually, she'd call at least twice a month with some urgent financial crisis, requiring my immediate attention. But now, complete radio silence. Thanksgiving came and went without an invitation to the family gathering. I spent the holiday alone in my townhouse, ordering Chinese takeout and binge-watching Netflix. Part of me kept waiting for the phone to ring. For Mom to call and say, "Oh, come on. We were just being silly. Come over for dessert." But the phone stayed silent. As Christmas approached, I started hoping again. Maybe they'd thought things over during those quiet months. Maybe they'd realized they'd been asking for too much. Christmas had always been sacred in our family. Surely they wouldn't ruin the holidays over this argument. I decided to extend an olive branch and went shopping for thoughtful, expensive gifts. For Dad, a new iPad Pro since his old tablet was barely functional. For Mom, a cashmere sweater from Nordstrom in her favorite color. For Lisa, the designer perfume she'd been dropping hints about for months. For Max, a nice watch. For Ethan, a high-end gaming headset. For Maya, a jewelry box she'd admired at the mall. I spent almost 000 on gifts. Way more than usual. But I wanted to show that I still loved my family and wanted to be part of it. Even if I couldn't buy them a lake house. A week before Christmas, I finally worked up the courage to call Mom. My heart was pounding as I dialed. "Hi. Mom? It's Alex." "Hello. Alexandra." Her voice was neutral, not warm. But not openly hostile either. "I was wondering if we're doing Christmas at your house this year." Like always, there was a pause. Yes, we're having Christmas. And yes, Alex, you're invited. You are family. After all, relief flooded through me. Not the warmest conversation we'd ever had. But at least I was invited. At least we'd spend Christmas together. Maybe things could get back to normal. On Christmas Eve, I loaded all the gifts into my car and drove to my parents' house in their quiet suburban neighborhood. Lisa's minivan was already in the driveway when I arrived. When I walked in, everyone was there, Lisa's whole family plus mom and dad. The house smelled like mom's traditional honey-glazed ham and sweet potato casserole. I put my gifts under the tree, adding to the modest pile already there. It was obvious I'd brought far more presents than everyone else combined. Christmas Eve dinner went surprisingly well. Dad asked about my work at the tech company and seemed genuinely interested in my recent promotion. Lisa told stories about Maya's starring role in the school winter play. Max seemed happy to see me and even complimented my new car. We laughed and talked as if the whole lake house argument had never happened. Nobody mentioned vacation homes or money. It felt like old times. When Mom suggested I sleep over in my childhood bedroom, I agreed. It felt good to be back in the house where I grew up, surrounded by family again. The next morning, Christmas Day, I woke up with genuine excitement. For the first time in months, we gathered around the Christmas tree in our pajamas and robes. Just like when Lisa and I were kids, one by one, everyone opened their presents, expressing delight and gratitude. Dad loved his iPad and immediately started asking me to help him set it up. Mom tried on her cashmere sweater and said it was the softest thing she'd ever owned. Lisa actually teared up when she opened her perfume. I sat watching, happy that I'd made everyone happy with my carefully chosen gifts. But then I noticed something that made my blood run cold. All the presents had been opened, except I didn't have a single one. I looked under the tree again, thinking I'd missed something. Nothing with my name on it. Not even a card. "Where's my present?" I asked. The room went completely silent. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at each other. And then, I couldn't believe what happened next. They started laughing. Mom spoke first, still giggling. "Santa doesn't bring presents to ungrateful children." I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. What Lisa chimed in, grinning, "It's your own fault. Alex, you refused to help the family when we needed you most. Actions have consequences." Dad nodded gravely. "We raised you. Alexandra, we gave you everything. And when we asked for your help, you turned your back on us. Ungrateful children don't get Christmas presents." Max was smirking. Even my teenage niece and nephew were looking at me like this was funny. I sat there in my pajamas, surrounded by the $15,000 worth of gifts I'd bought for them, listening to them explain why I didn't deserve even a token present in return. Not even a card. Not even a candy cane. I wanted to scream. I wanted to list every time I'd helped them over the past 6 years. Every bill paid. Every crisis solved. Every time I dropped everything to bail them out financially. But looking at their cruel, smug faces, I knew it would be pointless. In their minds, I was the villain, the ungrateful daughter who wouldn't buy them a vacation house. "Okay," I said quietly. I got up, went to my childhood bedroom, and got dressed while everyone else sat in the living room, probably discussing what a terrible person I was. When I came back out with my overnight bag, nobody said goodbye. Nobody tried to stop me from leaving. On Christmas morning, I walked out of my parents' house and made a decision that would change everything. That's it. I'm done. I'm tired of being their personal ATM. I'm tired of being treated like garbage. From now on, they can solve their own problems. For the first time in 6 years, I stopped sending money to anyone in my family. Instead, I spent my entire salary on myself and my future. The feeling was incredible. I'd forgotten how much money I actually made when I wasn't giving half my income to relatives. Instead of my usual $2.400 mortgage payment, I started paying $4.000 monthly. At this rate, I'd pay off my 30-year mortgage in just 12 years and save over $180. 0 inches interest. I bought the living room furniture I'd been putting off for years, a beautiful sectional sofa and matching coffee table. I got my car detailed and serviced. I updated my wardrobe with clothes that actually fit properly. I even booked a luxury vacation to Costa Rica for May, a real vacation with ziplining, volcano tours, and beach time. Not just a budget weekend trip to visit friends. The silence from my family was almost comical. Lisa, who used to call twice a month begging for money, didn't contact me once. Mom, who constantly guilt-tripped me about groceries and Dad's medications, didn't send a single text. It was like I'd ceased to exist the moment I stopped being their personal bank. I hoped it would stay that way forever, that they'd learn to solve their own problems and leave me alone to build my own life. But deep down, I knew people like my family don't change. They were just waiting for desperation to override their pride. That moment came in late March. I was at work, debugging code before a major product release, when my phone rang. Mom's name appeared on the screen. For a moment, I considered letting it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. Hi, Alex. Mom's voice was high-pitched and panicked. Thank God you answered. What's wrong? Mom, it's the foundation. The crack has gotten enormous. The whole thing is collapsing. I leaned back in my office chair. The same foundation crack I'd warned them about months ago, when they wanted me to buy them a lake house instead of fixing their current home. What exactly happened? The crack is massive now. It goes all the way across the basement wall. We had a structural engineer come out, and he said it's dangerous to live here. We need to get it fixed immediately, or the whole house could collapse. She was practically screaming into the phone. In the background, I could hear Dad yelling something about emergency repairs. How much will it cost to fix? I asked, though I already knew why she was really calling. $50,000. Alex, we need $50,000 to replace the entire foundation and reinforce the basement walls. And we need it right now. The engineers said we can't wait. There it was, the real reason for the call. Mom, why are you calling me about this? Because you have savings, we know you do. You have to help us. I almost laughed. After months of silence, after that humiliating Christmas morning, after their cruel joke about ungrateful children, now they needed my help again. Mom, remember what you told me on Christmas about ungrateful children? Seems like this is your problem. Not mine. Alexandra Victoria. Don't you dare speak to me that way. I am your mother. You're right. You are my mother. And on Christmas, you laughed in my face and called me ungrateful. You punished me for not buying you a lake house by making sure I was the only one without a gift. We were hurt about the vacation house then, but this is different. This is our home. No. Mom, it's exactly the same thing. You've shown me how you really feel about me. I'm only valuable to you when I'm making transfers to your bank account. So you know what? Ask Santa for help with the foundation. Maybe he'll be more generous to ungrateful parents than he is to ungrateful children. Alex, please, you can't let us lose our house. You should have thought about that before treating me like trash. I hung up. My hands were shaking slightly. But I felt amazing. For the first time in my life, I'd stood up to my mother when she tried to manipulate me into paying for her problems. The phone immediately rang again. I declined the call. It rang again. Another decline. This pattern repeated 6 more times that day. Mom calling. Me? Hanging up. Then the text messages started. Alex, please call back. We need to talk. This isn't about money. It's about family. Your father's having chest pains from the stress. Please help us. I can't believe my own daughter would abandon us in our time of need. The foundation is getting worse every day. What if the house collapses? I deleted every message without responding. That evening, I found a voicemail from Lisa. I almost deleted it unheard. But curiosity got the better of me. Alex, it's me. Mom told me you hung up on her today. I can't believe you're being so heartless. This isn't about Christmas anymore. Mom and Dad could lose their house. Oh, you our house. Alex, where we grew up, where all our childhood memories are. Her voice got more emotional. I know you're angry about the holiday, but you need to get over it. Family is family. You know that. Call me back. Family is family. How touching to hear that from the person who told me to handle my own problems when I asked for help moving. Family apparently only mattered when it benefited them. I poured myself a glass of wine. I sat on my beautiful new couch in my townhouse that would be paid off in 12 years and didn't feel an ounce of guilt. They'd made their choice on Christmas morning, showing me exactly where I ranked in their priorities. Now they could live with the consequences of that choice. The foundation crack I'd warned them about had finally caught up with them. Maybe if they'd listened to me back then, instead of demanding I buy them a vacation house, they would have had money for repairs before it became a $50. 000 emergency. I thought my phone refusal would end it. I thought they'd understand I was done being their financial safety net. I was wrong. The next evening, when I got home from work, I found 3 people waiting by my front door: Mom, Dad, and Lisa. They'd driven the 4 hours from Dallas to Austin to ambush me at my own home. I wanted to turn around and leave, but it was too late. They'd already seen me walking up the sidewalk. Alex, Mom called out. We need to talk. I sighed and unlocked my door, knowing this conversation was happening whether I wanted it or not. They followed me inside, looking around my townhouse like they were evaluating how well I was living while they suffered. What do you want? I asked, not even offering them seats. Everyone started talking at once. Mom was crying about losing their home. Dad kept insisting I had a duty as a daughter. Lisa was ranting about family loyalty and how cruel I was being. Stop, I said firmly. One at a time. Mom stepped forward, tears streaming down her cheeks. Alex, sweetheart, we're desperate. The foundation is getting worse every day. The engineer said if we don't fix it immediately, the whole house could collapse. The support beams are starting to shift. Then fix it, I said simply. Where's the money supposed to come from? Dad exploded. We're on a fixed retirement income. Take out a loan. Sell something. Figure it out. Come up with a solution. We looked into loans. Lisa interjected. With their credit and income, they can't qualify for $50. Ling ling ling. Then sell the house and buy something smaller. Alexandra, please. Dad's voice got louder. We raised you. We fed you. Clothed you. Paid for your college education. You owe us. I've been paying you back for 6 years, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And when I said no to one unreasonable request, you punished me by making me the only family member without a Christmas present. We were hurt, Lisa said weakly. You were cruel. You humiliated me. You called me ungrateful while I sat there surrounded by $15. 000 worth of gifts I'd bought for all of you. There was a moment of silence. I could see them regrouping, trying to find a new angle to make me feel guilty. Alex, Mom tried again. You're a wealthy person. $50,000 isn't that much money to someone with your salary. You don't have a family to support. You can afford it. And there it was again. Because I'm single. Because I don't have children. My money doesn't matter. My needs don't matter. My future doesn't matter. You're right, I said. I make good money. And I'm keeping it for myself. Mom gasped like I'd said something obscene. You want to know what I'm doing with my money? I'm paying extra on my mortgage so my house will be paid off in 12 years instead of 30. I'm maxing out my retirement accounts. I'm planning that Costa Rica vacation. I'm living my life instead of constantly worrying about what financial crisis you'll call me about next. How can you be so selfish? Lisa was indignant. How can you have the nerve to call me selfish? I've been bailing all of you out for years. And not once, have any of you said thank you? You've always treated it like I owed you money. Like Alex will handle. It was just a fact of life. But we're family, Mom cried. Then where was that family loyalty when I asked Max to help me move for 2 hours? Where was family when you made sure I was the only one without a Christmas present? You've shown me exactly what kind of family you are. Dad's face was turning red. After everything we've done for you, what have you done for me lately? When was the last time any of you asked how I was doing? When was the last time you cared about anything in my life besides my bank account balance? They exchanged glances like they couldn't believe I was being so unreasonable. This is ridiculous. Mom said, we're not leaving until you agree to help us. Then you'll be here a long time. Because I want you to leave. Right now. They stood there for another minute, apparently hoping I'd cave under pressure. But when I just stared at them silently, they finally headed toward the door. This isn't over. Mom snapped. Yes. It is? I replied. After they left, I sat on my couch and waited for what I knew would come next. Sure enough, over the following days, my phone started ringing with calls from extended family members who'd obviously been recruited for a guilt campaign. First was Aunt Carol, Mom's sister Alex. Your mom told me about the foundation. You have to help them. They're family. They raised you. Then you help them. Aunt Carol, your family too. Well, I don't have that kind of money. Neither do I. I have a mortgage and my own bills. Then my cousin Derek called, come on. Alex, it's 50 grand. For someone with your salary, that's nothing. If it's nothing, then you pay it. I've got 3 kids to put through college, and I have my own financial goals. Why is everyone else's money off limits? But mine is fair game. Uncle Steve even showed up at my office, embarrassing me in front of my coworkers. I can't believe you'd let your parents become homeless over money. They won't become homeless. They'll figure it out. Just like every other homeowner who faces expensive repairs. The worst was when Aunt Linda came to my house, ready to lecture me about honoring my parents. The Bible says to honor your father and mother. She began. If honoring parents is so important to you, I told her, why don't you give them the 50,000 yourself? Show me how it's done. She left pretty quickly after that. Eventually, the calls and visits stopped. A month passed without any family contact. I started to believe they'd finally gotten the message. Then, in May, I ran into Mrs. Peterson, my parents' next-door neighbor. I'd known her since childhood. She'd always been kind to me. Oh, Alex, she exclaimed, when she saw me at the H-E-B grocery store during a weekend trip to Dallas. I heard about your parents' house problems. They managed to get it all sorted out. Though I was surprised. They did. Oh yes. They sold Victor's classic Mustang. Apparently it was worth more than they thought. About $30. Ling ling ling. And Angela sold her mother's jewelry collection for another $20. Ling ling ling. They'd actually solved the problem themselves. The foundation is completely repaired now. Mrs. Peterson continued. They had the whole basement waterproofed too. And put in a new sump pump. The house is in better shape than it's been in years. Though your parents are certainly bitter about the whole situation, they keep saying you abandoned them when they needed you most. Good for them for handling it themselves. I replied. She looked at me strangely, like she expected me to feel guilty. Well, she said hesitantly, they did have to sell some precious family heirlooms. Every homeowner faces expensive repairs sometimes. That's part of owning a house. I'm proud of them for finding a solution. I finished my shopping and drove back to Austin, thinking about what she'd said. They'd found the money after all, sold some possessions. Exactly like I'd suggested. They didn't need me at all. They just wanted me to solve their problem so they wouldn't have to sacrifice anything themselves. And you know what? I don't feel guilty at all. They made their choice that Christmas morning when they humiliated me in front of everyone. They showed that I was only valuable to them as a source of money, not as a daughter. Not as a sister. Not as a human being who deserved basic respect. So I stopped being their source of money. Now I don't communicate with any of them, not my parents. Not Lisa. Not the relatives who tried to guilt-trip me into paying for problems that weren't mine. My phone is blissfully quiet. And my savings account keeps growing every month. I have real friends who care about me as a person. Not just what I can do for them financially. I go to yoga classes, take weekend trips to nearby state parks, and browse the bookstores downtown without constantly worrying about the next family financial crisis. I have plans and dreams that no longer revolve around other people's poor financial choices. My house will be paid off when I'm 44 instead of 62. I'm maxing out my retirement accounts for the first time ever. I took that Costa Rica vacation and swam with sea turtles. It was incredible. I'm learning Spanish and planning a trip to Spain next year. For the first time in my adult life, I'm living for myself instead of being everyone else's backup plan. And it feels absolutely amazing. Here's what I learned: family isn't supposed to be a one-way ATM. Real family relationships involve mutual respect, gratitude, and support that flows both ways. When your family only contacts you for money, when they treat your generosity as an obligation rather than a gift, when they punish you for having boundaries, that's not love. That's financial abuse. Setting boundaries doesn't make you selfish or ungrateful. It makes you smart. Sometimes the best gift you can give toxic family members is the opportunity to solve their own problems and grow up. And sometimes the best gift you can give yourself is the freedom to build your own life without constantly being everyone else's emergency fund. It's been over a year since I cut contact with my family, through mutual acquaintances and social media before I blocked them all. I've heard occasional updates. My parents are still living in their repaired house, working part-time jobs to help pay off their home equity loan faster. Lisa and Max are still struggling financially, but now they have to figure it out themselves. Apparently, Max finally fixed their business's accounting problems, and they're doing slightly better. Ethan got a part-time job at a local GameStop to help pay for his college applications and is learning valuable money management skills. Maya started doing neighborhood dog walking to earn money for her dance expenses and discovered she's quite entrepreneurial. They're all learning to be financially responsible adults. Imagine that. Meanwhile, I got promoted to senior developer with a $160 salary. I'm dating someone wonderful who values me for who I am, not my bank account. My house will be paid off in 10 years now instead of 12. I have $80. 0 inches my emergency fund, and I'm on track to retire early at 55. Some distant relatives still occasionally reach out through mutual friends, trying to guilt me into making peace with family. But I've learned that peace bought with money isn't really peace at all. It's just expensive silence. If you're reading this and it sounds familiar, if you're the family ATM, the one everyone turns to when they need money, please know that you have the right to say no. You have the right to your own financial security. You have the right to be valued for more than your bank account. You have the right to live your own life. And if they truly love you, they'll respect those boundaries. If they don't respect your boundaries, well, then you have your answer about what you really mean to them. I'm not their family ATM anymore. And for the first time in my adult life, I'm truly free. Story 2. My adulterous ex-wife was given first row seats at my nephew's graduation. While I was seated in the parking lot, "She's more family than you'll ever be," my brother said with a brow. After grinning and leaving my $5,000 present on his vehicle, I halted the education fund that I had been covertly contributing to for the last 4 years. I'm 42 years old, and I need to start with some background because this mess goes back years. Hey, Reddit. This happened last month, and I'm still processing it. I pulled the plug on 4 years of secret financial support because my family chose my cheating ex-wife over me at my nephew's graduation, and it led to a complete meltdown. Sebastian, my 8-year-old younger brother, and I used to be close. We came from a working-class family, with dad driving trucks and mom cleaning houses. Neither of us attended college, but we both worked hard to earn respectable lives in different ways. I started my own business doing HVAC repair and built it into something solid over the course of 15 years. It wasn't ostentatious, but it was successful. With a fleet of trucks and a 15,000 square foot warehouse, I've grown from a beat-up van and a toolbox to 12 employees handling commercial contracts across 3 counties. My success wasn't achieved overnight, but it's honest work that pays well when you know what you're doing and treat customers right. I learned every facet of commercial HVAC systems, obtained every certification available, and developed a reputation for being on time and fixing issues the first time. The first 5 years were difficult, with 18-hour workdays, living off of ramen and coffee, and occasionally sleeping in the van in between service calls. By year 10, I was earning mid-six figures a year. Sebastian shows a different path. He works as a shift supervisor at the Ford plant, a solid union job with good benefits. He married his high school girlfriend Amy when they were 22, and they had my nephew Tyler when Sebastian was 23. By year 15, I had outright owned my building and had more work than I could manage. Then there's Jessica, my ex-wife of 8 years, mother of exactly 0 children, destroyer of trust, and apparently the new family favorite. I thought we had a great relationship until last month. Tyler is 18 now, just graduated, and his kids have always been smart. Honor roll students, varsity baseball players, and never got into trouble. I was truly proud to be his uncle. After 2 years of dating that seemed natural and simple, we were married. And for the first 5 years, everything was fantastic. She worked at a dentist clinic, appeared pleasant and normal, was blonde, little, and looked like she belonged in a toothpaste ad. When Tyler was younger, she was good with him, helping him with homework when Sebastian and Amy needed a babysitter, teaching him how to make cookies, and buying him thoughtful birthday presents. She quit the dental office, helped with my business admin work, and we talked about starting a family. She had a way of making everything feel calm and organized, which was perfect for balancing my hectic work schedule. Since I had never had children of my own, I really valued having someone in my life who was naturally wonderful with children. It wasn't until I discovered that she had been having an affair with Dr. Peterson, her former employer at the dental clinic, for 3 years. The discovery was brutal. I had gone to surprise her at lunch and found them in his car behind the office building. And I will never forget the picture of Jessica straddling him in the front seat of his BMW, wearing the same red dress I'd complimented her on that morning before heading out to work. 3 goddamn years while she was sleeping next to me every night and talking about our future children. The fact that she had never really left the dental office. Instead, she had been returning twice a week for lunch dates with Peterson, and that the business administration work she was purportedly performing for me had actually involved her providing him with inside knowledge about my company's insurance claims and service contracts only made matters worse. Through his connections in the medical district, he had been using that information to steal my commercial clients. The divorce was ugly, and she wanted half of my business, saying she had helped it grow. Yes, she had helped by answering phones and filing paperwork while berating her boss and giving him access to private company information. What really twisted the knife was that my family supported Jessica throughout the divorce proceedings, despite the fact that my lawyer, Patricia, and was a bulldog who had seen every kind of cheating spouse story. We were able to prove that Jessica had been planning the affair exit strategy for months and that the settlement was reasonable and excluded any part of my business. She, not me, was the reason why Mom kept inviting Jessica to family dinners. Sebastian would text her directly about holiday plans, and Dad even asked me if I was certain about the divorce, as if I had imagined my wife cheating on another man in public. They explained that it doesn't change the fact that she has been a part of the family for 8 years. When I pointed out how up it was to prefer my unfaithful ex-wife above their son and brother, my mother slapped me with, "Michael, we're not choosing sides. Apparently, family links do alter things." However, since my comfort level certainly didn't matter, all we're doing is preserving the connections that are important to us. The worst part was watching Jessica play the victim flawlessly, showing up at family events with just the right amount of sadness, talking about how difficult the divorce was and how she hoped we could all still be family, all the while telling me that my feelings weren't important enough to warrant basic consideration. She was especially adept at relating with Tyler during this time, bringing handmade pastries, asking about everyone's life, remembering birthdays and anniversaries, and making me feel awful for being uncomfortable with the lady who ruined my marriage and attempted to take my company. Jessica positioned herself as the cool aunt figure, while I looked like the bitter ex-husband who couldn't move on. The kid was 14 when the divorce occurred, At the age when adult relationships are confusing and he's trying to figure out loyalty versus fairness, Jessica would take him shopping, help with school projects, and even attend his baseball games when Sebastian and Amy couldn't. I took Tyler fishing every other weekend, helped with school assignments, and made sure the divorce turmoil didn't negatively impact our connection since Tyler had always looked up to me as the cool uncle with the great company who could solve everything. If continued to attend academic awards ceremonies and basketball games. But I could see him becoming perplexed as to why everyone else appeared to be okay with Jessica's presence, while I was clearly not. One day, the child asked me directly, "Uncle Mike, why don't you like Jessica anymore? She has consistently shown our family kindness." I told him that sometimes adult relationships get complicated, and it wasn't his fault or responsibility to fix it. But no one knew that I had been covertly funding Tyler's college savings since he was 14. How do you explain to a 14-year-old that the woman who helped him with his algebra homework was also betraying his uncle on a regular basis? That her kindness to the family was part of a strategy to maintain social support during her affair. I'm not talking about sporadic birthday money. I'm talking about a serious, consistent monthly contribution of $800 for 4 years, which equates to $38. 400 plus interest, sitting in an account Sebastian was unaware of. Why the secrecy? Because I knew that if Sebastian found out, he would either refuse the money out of pride or find a way to ruin it. Sebastian has always been a bad financial manager, with good intentions but no financial discipline. The plan was to surprise Tyler at graduation with a college fund that would cover his entire 4-year degree at state school. And my financial advisor Karen helped set it up, making sure everything was legal and proper with Tyler as the beneficiary and me as the contributor. He would have likely spent it on home improvements or a new truck, thinking he could pay it back later. I thought it would be my graduation present. So we set it up as an education savings account with tax benefits and a conservative investment mix that would preserve capital while producing modest growth. I wanted to surprise the child by giving him the money he needs to pursue any degree he desires without having to worry about student loan debt. This reveal was going to be my chance to show Tyler that blood family means something and that I've been investing in his future even when no one asked me to. I spent months preparing the paperwork, printing account statements, and even researching Tyler's preferred schools to show him exactly what the money could do. However, that plan was derailed at graduation. I arrived early in my best Navy suit, with a card containing the account information and a smaller gift of $5. 0, check for immediate expenses like textbooks and dorm setup. The ceremony took place at the high school football stadium on a perfect May afternoon. With a simple setup, graduates in the middle and families in the stands. When I saw the seating arrangement, I was truly thrilled. Tyler had worked hard throughout high school, maintained a 3.7 gigapascals while playing varsity, baseball, and working part-time at a local restaurant. The kid deserved support and recognition, and I was honored to be the uncle who could give it. The front row was designated for immediate family. It made sense. But notice who was seated directly next to Sebastian and Amy. My ex-wife, Jessica, was in the family section, and I was seated 3 rows back in the public seating area. She was wearing a light blue dress that I had purchased for her on our anniversary 3 years before. I walked up to Sebastian before the ceremony began, and she gave me this little wave, as if we were casual acquaintances who happened to bump into each other. She had her hair done, and it looked like she was at her own son's graduation rather than joining in on my nephew's milestone moment. Hey, there's probably been a seating error. I'm Tyler's uncle. The front row is for immediate family only. I am immediate family. You are my brother. Look. Amy planned the seating. Jessica has been a part of Tyler's life longer than anyone but us, so she deserves to be there for his special day. Sebastian appeared uneasy, but he remained motionless. Amy was fussing over a bouquet of flowers, acting as though she didn't hear the conversation. There are good seats in the general section. The general section at my nephew's graduation. I stared at him. She's been in Tyler's life longer than me. I'm his uncle. I've been his uncle since he was born. You know what I mean? I didn't really understand what he was saying. but I could tell this wasn't going anywhere productive. Okay, where am I supposed to sit? Sebastian pointed towards the back. In the fourth row, right behind a family I didn't recognize. A couple in their 50s who were likely grandparents, talking excitedly about their grandson's plans for engineering school. Normal family dynamics, where everyone understood basic respect, protocols, and blood relatives got priority seating. I tried to concentrate on Tyler while my cheating ex-wife received front row treatment like she was his real parent. Every time I glanced towards the front row, I saw Jessica chatting with Amy like they were sisters, taking selfies, and acting like she belonged there. Despite the seating drama, I was proud of Kid because he looked sharp in his cap and gown and was obviously excited about the ceremony. The principal began the ceremony with the customary speech about success and promising futures. Since Tyler's class consisted of only 150 students, it took some time for each student to be recognized individually. When it came time for academic awards, Tyler's name was called for both exceptional community service and excellence in mathematics. During his senior year, Tyler had been volunteering at a local food bank. Sebastian turned around and actually shushed me, saying, "Can you keep it down? You're being disruptive. You're being disruptive for cheering too loudly for my nephew's academic achievement." I started clapping loudly as he crossed the stage, really going for it, because the kid deserved recognition for his hard work. And I was genuinely proud. This was the nephew I'd been secretly supporting, and he was proving himself worthy of that investment. Then Jessica turned around, too, and she mouthed, "Thank you to Sebastian for shutting me up," then gave me this condescending little shake of her head, like I was a child misbehaving during church. Her smug smile made it seem like she was enjoying watching Sebastian put me in my place. The audacity was astounding. Sitting in the front row seat that should have been mine. And this woman who cheated on me with her boss was now controlling my behavior at my nephew's graduation. I sat silently for the remainder of the ceremony, watching Tyler get his diploma and honors recognition while Jessica pretended to be a proud family member. After the ceremony, everyone gathered in the parking lot for pictures and congratulations. And I went up to give Tyler his card and check. "Uncle Mike." I was genuinely happy to see him despite the seating disaster. Tyler hugged me. She was taking pictures when the graduates threw their caps in the air, as if she had been there for his entire educational journey, not just the parts that didn't conflict with her affair schedule. "This is for you." I gave him the card with the $5. "000 cheque. This is for you. College expenses. Whatever you need." "Uncle Mike, this is too much." Tyler's eyes widened as he opened it. "I'm so happy you came. Did you see me get the academic achievement award I did? Buddy, I'm really proud of you. You've worked hard for this. I can't accept this." "Yes, you can. You've earned it." "What's going on?" Sebastian asked as he and Jessica and Amy approached. Tyler showed them the check, beaming. "Look what Uncle Mike gave me. Look what Uncle Mike gave me. You don't need to throw money around to prove a point." "I'm not throwing money around. I'm giving my nephew a graduation gift." Sebastian looked irritated rather than appreciative or impressed. I asked, "What circumstances?" Jessica said in her sweet fake voice. "It's excessive. Makes the rest of us look bad. It's very generous. But maybe something more modest would be appropriate for the circumstances." She was referring to my divorce settlement as though it were relevant to my nephew's graduation gift, as if my financial decisions needed to be filtered through her comfort level. I looked at this woman who tried to steal half of my business after cheating on me for 3 years. And she implied that my generosity towards my nephew was somehow inappropriate compensation for my personal failures. You know, after everything that happened with the divorce and the financial arrangements, people might think you're trying to make up for something. We walked a few feet away from the group, and I could see Jessica watching us closely, probably hoping I'd say something she could use against me later. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I asked quietly, not screaming or making a scene. But something inside me snapped. "Sebastian, can I talk to you privately for a minute? What precisely is my place in this family?" Sebastian was defensive. Jessica had been Tyler's girlfriend for 8 years. You shushed me for supporting Tyler. And now you're criticizing my graduation present. What do you mean? My ex-wife was given front row tickets. And I was seated in the back. And what have I done? Chopped liver. You're his uncle. That's different. Different how Sebastian hesitated. Then said the words that changed everything. She's more family than you'll ever be. I just stared at him. She's earned her place here by helping him with his homework, attending his games, and supporting him through high school. I calmly said, okay, good to know where I stand. My own brother, with whom I've been blood relatives since birth, was telling me that my cheating ex-wife was more family than I was. I walked back to the group, where Tyler was still holding the bill, looking between the adults as if he sensed tension but didn't understand it. Amy was checking her phone, acting as though the conversation hadn't happened. And Jessica was watching with barely disguised satisfaction. I need to speak to you about something else. Tyler, I've been making contributions to a college fund for the last 4 years. And it has enough money to pay for your whole degree. Tyler was shocked. What? Really? Really? I was going to give it to you today. But things didn't work out. Calling my financial advisor, I took out my phone and said, Karen, this is Mike. I need to make some changes to the Tyler Morrison education account. Yes. Right now, I want to transfer the entire balance to a different account. My personal savings. Yes. I understand the tax implications. No. Effective immediately. Sebastian realized what was happening. What are you doing? I'm making a withdrawal. Tyler was perplexed and wounded. Uncle Mike. I don't understand. I stared at this child I'd been covertly supporting for 4 years. It's my money. You can't simply take Tyler's college fund. It was never Tyler's college fund. I was planned to give Tyler this money. Tyler, I love you. You're a good kid. And I'm proud of what you've done. But your dad just made it very clear that I'm not really family here. So, I'm adjusting my financial commitments accordingly. Tyler was unaware of my investment in his future. His father had just told me that I was less family than his mother's cheating ex-sister-in-law. Amy was the first to speak up. Mike, you're being petty. Am I? Amy asked. If Jessica cheated on Sebastian for 3 years, would you still invite her to family dinners? Amy looked uncomfortable but didn't respond. Yeah. But that's different because she cheated on me because I'm apparently not real family. In 5 minutes, 4 years' worth of college funding was gone. Karen called me back to confirm the transfer. And $42. 180 had been transferred to my personal account. Sebastian was beginning to panic. So, I said, be reasonable. Mike, Tyler doesn't deserve to be punished for our family issues. You're absolutely right. Tyler doesn't deserve to be punished. But he also doesn't deserve to have his college expenses covered by someone who isn't actually family. It would be strange, wouldn't it? I turned to face Tyler again. You're intelligent and hardworking. Kid, you'll figure out how to pay for college. Many students do it without family assistance. Jessica had the audacity to say. This is really vindictive. Mike, I looked at her face for the first time since the divorce. Then I looked at Sebastian, and you said, she's more family than I'll ever be. Did you mean that? I didn't mean it literally. Yes. You did. And that's okay. But now you have to deal with the fallout. Jessica, you spent 3 years screwing your boss while you were married to me. You don't get to lecture anyone about vindictive behavior. I grabbed the $5. 000 check from Tyler in my suit pocket. Went to Sebastian's car and placed it under the wiper blade on the windscreen. This should help with first semester expenses. I said loudly enough for everyone to hear, adding that maybe Jessica could cover the remaining amount because she has more family than I do. As I was leaving, Tyler yelled after me, Uncle Mike, please wait. I halted and turned around. The child was really upset. And I felt like, for placing him in this situation. But I also couldn't continue to act as if family respect wasn't a concern. Tyler, this isn't about you personally. I drove home in total silence, No music. No phone calls. Just the sound of my own breathing, while I pondered what had just transpired. This is about being treated with fundamental respect by people who are meant to love me. When your dad decides whether I'm family or not, we can discuss. When I got home, I poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon and sat on my back porch. My phone started buzzing almost immediately, and the first text I received was from Sebastian. "You can't be serious about this," I replied. 4 years of preparation, 4 years of covert contributions, and 4 years of picturing Tyler's face when I surprised him with a college fund were all lost because my brother chose my cheating ex-wife over his own blood. Take pleasure in finding out how to pay for college. Amy texted. Tyler is weeping. To which I said, I didn't ruin anything. But you've ruined his graduation day. I simply quit acting like I'm family when I'm obviously not. Tyler texted. Please. Uncle Mike. I don't know what went wrong. Can we have a conversation? I replied back. This isn't about you. Tyler. That one hurt. This has to do with your father prioritizing Jessica above his family. Then the phone calls started coming in. Sebastian phoned 6 times in an hour. But I didn't answer. Amy called twice and I didn't respond. And Jessica called once. Which was strange since we hadn't talked to each other since the divorce. I love you. But I can't keep investing in people who don't consider me family. What is this about Tyler's college fund? Michael, what did Sebastian say to you? You withdrew Tyler's education money because of some argument at graduation. It wasn't Tyler's education money. Mom, it was my money that I was planning to give Tyler. You're punishing a child over adult problems. I'm not punishing anyone. Mom tried the guilt approach. Tyler has worked so hard. Sebastian didn't mean what he said. You know what? I'm tired of being the family member who's expected to show up, contribute, and shut up while everyone else decides my place in the hierarchy. I'm just not funding college for people who don't consider me family. You're being cruel. No. Mom. Cruel is sitting me behind my ex-wife at my nephew's graduation, shushing me for cheering too loudly. Tyler can get student loans like millions of other kids. His parents can take out a second mortgage. Jessica can contribute because she's apparently more family than me. He deserves a chance at college. The following several days were a storm of family turmoil, with Sebastian leaving increasingly urgent voicemails regarding the student fund. He had misjudged the moment. Cruel is telling me that my ex-wife is more family than I am. I'm simply reacting to cruelty correctly. Amy called, sobbing, about how they couldn't afford Tyler's first semester without significant financial restructuring. Tyler had already accepted admission to State University on the presumption that college was financially covered. And now they were looking at $15. 0 inches, annual expenses without any savings. And Tyler's graduation party was already scheduled for the next weekend. The lovely irony was that Sebastian had always been the responsible one with money, unlike some of our relatives. And now they looked like failures who couldn't support their son's education after she had already told Tyler's extended family about his plans to attend college and ordered graduation announcements with State University bounds printed on them. Tyler called Wednesday night, completely bewildered and hurt. They had been living exactly within their means. Assuming Tyler's college was covered by scholarships or financial aid they had never really looked into, but now they were rushing to figure out financing for something they thought was free. Tyler had a stable job, good benefits, and a nice house in a nice neighborhood. Uncle Mike? I've been dreading this conversation. How do you explain to an 18-year-old that his father chose your ex-wife over you without coming across as petty, Tyler? It's not about seating arrangements. Dad won't explain what happened at graduation. He just keeps saying you're upset about seating arrangements. Is that really why you took away my college money? I don't understand. Your dad told me that Jessica is more family than I will ever be. After 8 years of Jessica attending family gatherings, while I am treated like an outsider, I concluded that he might be correct. However, Jessica is no longer even family because she is your ex-wife. She's more family than I am, according to your dad. So I assumed she should take care of family finances as well. Tyler was silent for a while, but then he said, Uncle Mike, I never asked you to pay for my college. I didn't even know you were doing it. I know, buddy, this isn't about you, but I'm the one getting hurt by it. Tyler was right. The truth is, Tyler, I love you and I'm proud of you, but your dad has to decide whether I'm family or not. If I'm family, I get basic respect. If I'm not, I don't have family financial obligations. He was collateral damage in a family war he hadn't started. But I also couldn't keep supporting people who had made it obvious that I wasn't really family. On Friday, I received the most pitiful phone call I've ever received. Sebastian, obviously desperate, tried every manipulation technique in the book. First claiming the remark about Jessica was taken out of context. Then we'll see. But it must be a genuine apology, not just a financial panic. Complete. He was simply recognizing her contribution to Tyler's life, not undermining mine. At least he was making an effort. He then made some concessions. Perhaps Jessica would not attend future family gatherings. Perhaps they could set more appropriate boundaries. Perhaps we could all sit down and resolve the issue, like grown-ups. Eventually, he broke down completely. Mike, I made a mistake. I was anxious about the ceremony going well, so I said something foolish. When none of that worked, he tried blaming Tyler's future on guilt. Did I really want to ruin my nephew's education over a misunderstanding? Was proving a point worth more than Tyler's opportunities? You're my brother and Tyler's uncle, so of course you're family. Am I more family than Jessica? Long pause. What? Just a simple question. Sebastian, am I more family than Jessica? You're different kinds of family. That's not what you said at graduation. Amy had planned everything, and I just followed the seating arrangements. Sebastian couldn't commit to treating her like family while treating me like a distant relative. It's complicated. Mike, she's been a part of Tyler's life for years, and I've been a part of Tyler's life since birth. You said she's more family than I'll ever be. Do you still believe that? Another pause. No. Then prove it. How? Cut off all contact with Jessica. No more family events. No more holiday invitations. I made the decision permanent because Sebastian was worried about money and didn't really understand that he had chosen my ex-wife over his brother. He wanted the college fund back, but he also wanted to keep things the same. So Jessica remained family and I was marginalized. However, I realized that my relationship with him somehow matters less than hers. I called my estate attorney and had my will updated on Monday morning. And I transferred the $42 one having $180 into a new investment account, not for Tyler, not for family obligations, but for my own future, because if I wasn't real family, then I didn't have real family financial responsibilities. Tyler was supposed to inherit my business and assets because I don't have children. After Sebastian explained to Tyler why his uncle left everything to strangers rather than family, the family civil war intensified, and Mom began calling every day in an attempt to break the peace. Now, everything goes to charity, specifically to a scholarship fund for students whose families cannot afford college. Everyone wanted me to be the bigger person, to restore the college fund, to let the past be the past. No one was asking Sebastian to choose between his brother and his brother's ex-wife. Dad finally weighed in, telling me that I was being stubborn and arrogant. Extended family members who hardly knew the situation offered their opinions about forgiveness and family loyalty. The breaking point came 2 weeks after graduation when Amy called me directly and said, Mike, Tyler's been accepted to community college for the fall. He's going to live at home and work part-time to help pay for it. No one was telling Jessica to stop bringing herself up at family gatherings, and I was under constant pressure to put up with disrespect in the name of maintaining family harmony. It's sad that he had to decline his dream school, State University, due to financial constraints. You could make things right. You could return his college fund. Amy, it was never his college fund. I was planning to give him my money. You're ruining his future out of pride. No, I'm defending my dignity. While she never intended to create issues between you and Sebastian, Amy, Jessica's 3 years of defrauding her employer while married to me generated issues between me and Sebastian. Jessica feels awful about how things transpired at graduation. And that stopped me cold. It's not fair to Tyler. She's been a part of his life, and I've been a part of his life longer. Why does her relationship with Tyler matter more than mine? Amy couldn't answer that question. No one could because the truth was clear. The graduation incident was just the most recent instance of everyone putting her comfort ahead of mine. She wants to apologize. But I don't want her to apologize. And I want her to stop attending family gatherings. 3 weeks after graduation, Tyler unexpectedly showed up at my shop. I was working on a commercial HVAC unit when he entered the warehouse. "Uncle Mike, can we talk?" I shut down the equipment and walked over. Tyler appeared older, as if the previous month had aged him. They had picked my ex-wife over me for convenience, not principle. I told Tyler everything: the divorce, the affair, the years of marginalization while Jessica was treated like family, the secret college fund, the graduation seating, Sebastian's remark that she was more family than me, and he listened without interrupting. I wanted to know what really happened at graduation. Kiddo. Not the family-friendly version that everyone keeps giving me. Uncle Mike. I was unaware of the majority of this. No one informed me about Jessica's affair or the severity of the divorce. It wasn't your concern. But it clarifies a lot of things, such as why you and your father appeared tense at times when Jessica was present. Your father made his decision, Tyler, and repeatedly put Jessica's comfort ahead of mine. I studied my nephew. He's a smart kid who's trying to figure out a solution that works for everyone. The graduation thing was just the last straw. Tyler looked uncomfortable. "Can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Would you consider giving me the college money if Dad uninvited Jessica from family stuff, Tyler?" "The money isn't about Jessica anymore. It's about respect. Tyler, I love you. But I'm not going to continue being the family member who has to take the brunt of disrespect and pay for the privilege. Your dad doesn't treat me like family. So, I'm not going to act like family." "What if he apologized?" "Has he really apologized? He's been trying to figure out how to approach you. He knows he made a mistake." Tyler departed with a disappointed expression. "Your dad needs to decide whether or not I'm his brother. You'll always be my uncle." "I know. But being your uncle doesn't mean funding your college when your dad treats me like crap." I knew I couldn't give up, but I felt awful for him. I would be teaching everyone that they could treat me whatever they pleased as long as they ultimately needed money if I replenished the college fund right away. Sebastian eventually arrived at my place that weekend. I was sitting on my front porch on Saturday night after returning from a repair call. "We must speak," he said. "What is it about cleaning up this disaster?" Like children, we sat on the steps of my porch. It was like old times for a moment. According to Sebastian, up. The claim that Jessica was more family than you was foolish, cruel, and incorrect. It was. Indeed. I was anxious that the ceremony would go flawlessly. Instead of considering how it might affect you, I just followed Amy's seating arrangements. "Sebastian, it had nothing to do with the seats. You've been picking Jessica over me for the last 4 years. Which is the issue. When you stated it out, it was the graduation moment. She was never my first choice over you. Every time she was asked to a family meal, I felt awkward. Each holiday when her sentiments were more important than mine. Instead of asking her to stop introducing herself into my family, I was always taught to be the larger person." Sebastian remained silent. "Do you want to make this right?" I went on. "Then make all the necessary repairs. Nah Jessica during family gatherings. No more treating me like an outsider and her like family. Either choose your sibling or his former spouse." "Mike, it's not that easy. She is important to Tyler. Tyler is 18. He will soon begin his own life and attend college. Jessica is not necessary for his happiness." Amy believes that excluding Jessica entirely would be inappropriate. "You have the freedom to decide if your wife's opinion is more important than your brother's respect. But Amy is free to believe anything she wants." Sebastian had a dejected expression. "What if we made a concession? Jessica only attends important occasions, sits with relatives other than one's close family." No concessions. It's all or nothing. That seems excessive. Saying to your brother that his ex-wife is more family than he is extreme. I'm only giving a clear response to radicalism. Sebastian struggled for 10 minutes to make a choice that ought to have been clear. At last, he said something. No more Jessica at family gatherings. All right. Are you certain about that? Because I don't want to hear that this decision is difficult or complex after you've made it. I'm positive. And the college money for Tyler, how about it? It's gone. I currently use that money to support my retirement, like everyone else. Tyler is eligible for student loans. Sebastian's expression dimmed. Come on. Mike, you got your message across. No. I made my limits clear. Being treated like family was a requirement for the college fund. The financing doesn't exist since it didn't occur. However, you're mending the Jessica problem because I made you make a decision. Not because you wanted to show me respect. That's not the same. Sebastian sat there contemplating the fact that his decisions will have long-term effects. How can I tell Tyler about this? Be honest with him. That you put his uncle's ex-wife above his uncle. And that decisions have repercussions. I look awful like that. That's because you did something very bad. Sebastian didn't say goodbye. Since then, I have not heard from him. I learned that Jessica wasn't there at Tyler's graduation celebration from my mother 2 months later. Sebastian had apparently phoned to inform her that she would no longer be invited to family gatherings. The choice was said to have upset and wounded her. In the autumn, Tyler enrolled in community college. To help pay for it, he works weekends at a supermarket shop. I gave him a $500 textbook gift card. Uncle money. Not money owed to the family. He thanked me by text and said he could understand why I had made the decisions I did. I still don't communicate with Sebastian. I don't want to make amends. But Mom continues trying. He made it clear to me where I stood in his priorities. And now he has to deal with the fallout. My investing account is yielding 8% yearly returns on the $42. 180. It will be worth a lot more than Tyler's college tuition by the time I'm retired. Making the proper decision for yourself might sometimes result in financial gain as well. Does Tyler's loss of his college money make me feel bad? Of course. However, I feel terrible about covertly supporting someone for 4 years whose father saw me as less family than his uncle's unfaithful ex-wife. There are certain limits that are worth the expense of upholding life. I made another will change last week. Tyler now receives everything. Not because he has a family duty, but rather because he has developed into a young man who recognizes that respect is essential in familial ties. Perhaps by the time I pass away, he will have discovered a way to advocate for himself that his father was never able to. Family is more than simply blood. It's about reciprocal attention, respect, and choice. Believe them when they tell you that you are not really their family and behave appropriately. This new hype function was recently released by YouTube. Press the hype button if this article has captured your attention.